And then specific for the holiday season, I would say, don't do anything that doesn't make you happy or feel good. We're all chasing something for somebody else, and I get it. This is the season for giving and blah, blah, blah. But give to yourself first. Because it's just like, I almost hate this analogy because it's overused, but the analogy of the airplane when the mask drop, you put the mask first on yourself. And same thing. If there's one thing, just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do anything this Christmas season that I don't feel good about or doesn't bring me some sort of positive energy. So will some people get upset or pissed off or maybe whatever? Maybe. So, big deal.
Welcome back.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah. We're just starting this holiday season and we're already worn out.
Yeah. Man, this has been a whirlwind trip. We have, I don't know if I told you, we drove 1,627 miles in 6 days.
It's a lot.
I didn't do the math. That's a lot of fucking miles. So
watch your mouth.
Why?
G rating. We'll have to
For who?
bleep you out.
Nah, ain't no G rating. No goddamn G rating.
We're talking about the Christmas season.
Oh,
and
this
you're
is about
using the
Christmas.
Lord's name in vain.
Yeah, this
What am I
is
going to
true.
do with you?
Jesus Christ. I'll try to tone it down a little bit.
God!
Yeah.
Behave.
So I thought this apropos. I don't know if that's the right. I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means either. It sounds good.
But we'll assume that it means
Should
fitting.
we ask the English major?
Yeah. We'll assume that it means fitting.
Oh, I think it does mean that.
Yeah. And if not, oh well. So, so we rolled in late last night. Not late last night, but late enough. Right. So we're dragging behind a little bit.
Yeah.
But
didn't even fix our hair today. That's why Scott's representing in his hat, and
represent.
I desperately need a haircut.
Yeah. And actually, so we thought it might be a good idea today to kind of talk about Christmas season and positivity and proper mindset, because this is the time of the year where a lot of people could really get in I was going to say a crappy mindset, but I just got thinking about not just being strung out, tired, but I just got thinking a lot of people get sad this time of year.
Yeah. Kind of brings up loved ones that they've lost and the stressors of the financial stressors you have going on, trying to buy gifts for everyone and make everything perfect.
And I can't remember who told me, and I don't remember the statistic, but I mean, this is the time of year. I mean, you see suicides spike, right? Which is like really sad to think people get in such a mindset that they don't think there's any opportunity. I'm not trying to bring this whole conversation down.
Dang, yeah.
I know it's pretty heavy,
You're
but
making me more depressed during this December.
Oh, it was the EMS guy we were talking to.
Oh, yeah.
He was out.
Yeah, it's kind of like everything's amplified right now. You're so focused on trying to make it such a special season. Sometimes it amplifies some of the sadness as well.
Yeah, and so we were.
Look, now we're on.
I know, right? And bless your heart. I mean, you're so good to me. I drag you all over the place at a speed of comet speed. You see all these people, and you definitely are someone that needs your not only consistency, but you need like time to like
my
refresh.
Quiet time. And what do
Yeah.
we do as soon as we get done driving 1,000 miles? We come to talk. The things I do for you, that's love. That is true love for an introvert like me.
Yeah, it's probably also the time the murder rates has spiked. I might not push you too far.
Maybe.
Just driving home. The traffic and the rush and trying to see everybody and da-da-da-da-da-da. And it has a real, it really has a potential to kind of push you into this, for me, stressed out and irritable and then just crappy. Right?
So you had kind of brought up the topic of gratitude and how you try to remind yourself to really be grateful for the good things, because sometimes you can get so stressed out that you start focusing on the negative.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Like I said, when times where things get stressful, and so we're in that time of year.
Right.
And I mean, I used to get so much crap from my kids and my former wife just about, Christmas time would come around and I didn't want to get caught in a rat race. I didn't want to go out and shop for the list of worthless.
Is that why you called me your ex-wife's name the other day at our little Christmas get-together with your friends?
Oh, my God.
Yes, I'm telling you. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to pull a Scott here, and I'm going to interrupt and tell all these lovely guests who are watching that you introduced me as your ex-wife.
Oh, yeah,
but I can't give you crap because you were with her for so long, and I totally get that when your brain is in mode of saying a name for so many years.
It was so funny. So I get together with these awesome friends every first week of December every year. I've only missed 2, I think, in 31 years, and it's just 20 of us. It's pared down. We've lost some people, but it's just a fantastic group of people and friends and people that I call family now. But so we get down there in my buddy's house in his bar area, and we're standing there, and a buddy of mine walks in, and my son was there, and because he was friends with him too, you're there, and I was like, hey, I want to introduce you to my son and my wife, Sandy. Oh, bleep.
The look on your son's face
and he
was
went,
priceless.
He went like Christmas, Home Alone. He's like,
yeah. He didn't know if I would be offended, which I'm not offended at all.
No,
but it was really cute. It was worth it, just the look on his face when you said it.
Yeah.
Was
and
priceless.
I felt like I had an out-of-body experience. It's like, who said that? And I got shit for the next 20 minutes, but it was fun. Poking.
Yeah.
But, thanks for that.
All right. You can get back on trail now.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
I don't either.
But, just really having to be intentional about having a good mindset.
Right.
And it's obviously something that needs to be, it really needs to be on a daily basis, but this is just kind of fitting.
How do we do that? It's really easy to get wrapped around the axle on the negative stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know what it was. I was, so today, and this is what made me just kind of think about this conversation that we're having now. Early this morning, and I'll be transparent.
Oh Lord, what are you going to tell?
Well, we were taking the car up to the repair shop. We had to get a couple things done to it, and you and I were driving different cars. We had to drop one car off, and so I'm driving, and it was 30 minutes because it was in the morning in traffic and blah blah blah. So I'm driving along, and it was about halfway. We were about halfway there, and all of a sudden I realized I'm having this mental conversation in my head about frustration with my former wife and some things I felt she should be doing.
We're supposed to be over that, remember?
I know. That could be. Yeah, we'll go back to that series. But I was just frustrated about things that I feel like she needs to be taking responsibility for with regards to the kids. Anyway, the content wasn't important. What was important was all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, holy crap, I'm having a freaking mental conversation here about like chewing her out, basically. And I thought, what am I doing? This is the very thing that I always talk to people about is have the mental conversations that you want to have, that you want to experience in your life.
Yeah.
And so I'm creating so I won't get into details, but there's something that I asked her to do, and she may do it, she may not. She hasn't acted on it yet, but I've already made up my mind.
Right.
And so I'm having this mental conversation as after the fact.
And we talk all the time about having that positive mindset and creating what you want.
Yep. Yeah. And so instead of having the conversation like after the fact of, hey, this is great, and and everyone's happy and I'm having the negative conversation. So
and meanwhile, your blood pressure is 200 over 150 thinking about it.
Right. Yeah. And then combined with traffic. So that was like a key for me, like a reminder. Stop doing that. And we do it all the time. Like from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep, we're having mental conversations. We are. All of us are having in our heads. We don't even know it. 24 hours a day, really.
Well, especially your mind.
Yeah, I can have multiple conversations with multiple people.
Is that why you don't hear me sometimes?
There's multiple people in here.
I'm not in the conversation that's going on in your head, so you don't hear me.
I'm sorry, did you say something? No, I know. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem.
I love raising you.
There's so many conversations going in my head, and when you say something, I was like, who's speaking? It's kind of funny, but it's kind of true. So, but anyway, I bring that back to how can we really, what steps can we take to try to be in that positive, anticipatory mindset as opposed to that one I was in this morning.
Gratitude mindset, especially during the holidays when you have so many stressors going on and all the traffic. That's one of your major stressors.
So I know you handle it a little bit different. You kind of get into a loop and then roll out. But tell us a little bit about how you.
Oh gosh,
I know.
I blank out. It's like I'm back in school again, and I've got to stand up and answer a question in front of the class.
It's like Will Ferrell. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I know. Okay, let me unroll and hear your question. See if I have a serious answer to it.
So when you find yourself in a negative mindset, what do you do? Or do you just stay there? Do you just stay there?
I chop a roast really violently.
Oh my God.
We'll tell that story some other time. I think that's the story on menopause, that I think that all those little hormones are starting to change.
I'm not sure I'm going to be.
Scott gets to experience that with me.
I don't know if I'm going to take part in that conversation, but I'm not really sure I have anything to offer of value other than run.
We'll see. See, this is part of it, brain fog. At least that's what I'm blaming it on.
Yeah.
So how
does Kristie handle it?
How do I handle it? Well, I think I handle it different at different times, depending on kind of my attitude and where I'm at. There's times when I can really spin out of it. I tell you what actually helped me a lot. It was working as a nurse. Some of the stuff I'd see would kind of keep my reality in check of what to really get upset about, because there were these kids facing, look, I'm going to cry about it, these such bigger challenges.
Yeah. Actually, we actually talked about this some time ago. We had a similar conversation just in
menopause.
In our conversations for years ago, and I thought you made such a impactful point. And it might have been something where we were talking about our days or whatever, and in any of my professional careers, I've never had anybody's. Let me think about this. Really, anybody's life in my hands like you have. So, for a lot of us out there, we go through the day and we don't have these stark reminders, but you and a lot of the people in first responders that are seeing the frailty of life and death, losing people and kids dying for you. I could only imagine that it would just keep you very sober and very aware of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Of the good things, maybe.
Yeah, well, and to not let little things, drag you down and ruin your day over insignificant things. So it's really kind of like getting back to what you were saying. Just you really have to be intentional and kind of be grateful for all the small things, and to try to keep your attitude.
What are your hacks? What do you do when you find yourself really just in a crappy mood?
A glass of wine? I don't know.
There you go.
I'm teasing.
Why? I mean, that's. Yeah.
No, you know what? Once again, this goes back to my coping mechanisms. I have to take things little bites at a time, because I'm the kind of person that gets overwhelmed if I look too far out, and my mind I start having that internal conversation of playing out a story that hasn't even happened yet, may not even happen that way, because I think people tend to think of the negative turnout rather than the positive.
Yeah.
So if I just take little snippets and deal with it and try to be positive and surround yourself with positive people, if you're constantly with people that are negative, you're going to find yourself in that negative mind frame too.
Have you always been like that? Or do you think that's an acquired skill for you? Have you always been, as a teenage girl growing up, has it always been how you've faced negativity head on, or?
I think it has, honestly.
Yeah. That's
just kind of how I've always been, and I don't know if I learned that or if I was born with that.
Yeah.
Do you have any secret hack? I mean, I honestly don't have a secret hack.
I do think that, just like some other things you're talking about, it's personality specific. People who are passive, I think, just handle negativity different than the people maybe who are aggressive. friends of mine. I don't really know,
like yourself?
I don't really know anybody close that's that way. Yeah. So talking about creating a discipline in behavior in life, that's been something for me. It's been something I've had to build into my personality over a long time because growing up, there was a lot of just anxiety and negativity in my life and my household, and it wasn't really a place to express it in the home. So I'd stuff a lot of it, but then it would come out in other places. But like more I became very sarcastic in a jovial way. So I got to be very cutting. Like I could have a conversation with somebody and I would just be like throwing zingers, Yeah. And it was all fun and good, but to a point. But I found like that was how I was trying to kind of get it out instead of like dealing with the negativity. Almost, I didn't even realize it until I got in situations where that just wasn't okay. And then having kids, and so I had to learn other ways to deal with it. And then I found out I was very much, I'm very much head on. I want to go, like, if there's an issue, I want to go toe to toe with it. And if there's a person that's frustrated, I'm going to go toe to toe with it. I didn't have the opportunity growing up. So it really kind of came out as I got more of an adult. Mm-hmm. And I say that to say that I would get very wrapped around the axle on things and points to the point where I would get really just, if there was something negative, I'd have these mental conversations and it would just sometimes infuriate me. I didn't know how to disconnect or break that.
Yeah. So sometimes you do need those like little reminders. You hear people talk about like daily affirmations or different things, like, or they'll put Post-it notes on their mirror and stuff. I'm not necessarily one of those kind of people, but I could see how, like, if you tend to be more on the negative side, that can kind of help, kind of draw you back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd heard for a long time, you start reading, like, I don't say self-help books, but, leadership books or things where when you're trying to become more self-aware, you start gravitating towards information that kind of, makes you, helps you focus on that. And then you hear a lot of the same things about, be positive or be grateful or be thankful.
And not that we're always positive, believe me.
No.
We don't want to give off that impression. We definitely have our moments, and that's why we talk about this, because it kind of keeps us in check and brings us back.
Yeah, because everybody deals with it. And a lot of times I'll get to like why it's so important. But we all do it, and we don't. Sometimes it's just there's no check and balance. We do it. Oftentimes we wonder why things are happening in our lives that we don't understand why. But we are, thoughts are things. And, I heard somebody say one time, and a really older lady who ended up speaking all over the world talking about things like this, and she's since passed away, but something like she said, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become character. And then watch your character, because that becomes your destiny. And I thought, it's true. And I've heard thoughts are things. So getting back to the whole mental mindset and the negative conversations that we have, can't explain it, but they're pure energy, and they have a way of showing up as real experiences in your life. So what I was going to say earlier was, you hear these cliches, and I used to think, it's great for you to sit there and say, not you, but a person to say, oh, always be thankful, blah, 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 or, be grateful for the little things. It sounds so cliche. And I'm like, I'm sick of hearing this bullshit. I was like, you don't know my life.
Well, yeah. Well, we all are always going to have hard things in our life and good things in our life. Mm-hmm. And it's what you focus on is the path you're going to go down, basically, what you're going to see. Almost like you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see them all over the road. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly your focus that we're saying, try to change if you need to change it.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm getting to, is like early on, as I was kind of a young adult growing into this, those words didn't have any power, didn't have any meaning. They were just words. And I didn't understand the impact. I didn't think they had impact. You just kind of like go on through life. And then things show up in your life, and they're like, oh, man, why is shit keep happening to me that, I don't want? And I'm a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, you start rationalizing it. But then I began to realize that, what I do think about does impact my life experience. I mean, we're not right then,
Yeah.
but I mean, and I'm not going to get too about it, but and we'll talk about it probably as we go on. But thoughts are things, and we have a way of creating our own destiny by the things we think about, just like you said, the things we focus on. You know, I heard another. I love these little colloquialisms, like where you're. I forgot it. It'll come.
Oh, I was like, you have so many. I cannot remember a joke. I cannot remember a quote.
Oh, I think it was where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Yeah.
It almost sounds a little Tony Robbins so.
It does.
but it's true. Where your attention.
The older you get, all these little hokey things, you kind of realize the meaning behind it and how it applies to your life. For sure.
And I keep going back, and we talked about this some time ago, is, you know, the example of those Olympic athletes. Like Mark Phelps is his name? Michael Phelps.
Look, I remembered something.
Right? How his focus, and when he didn't focus in this, his swimming game suffered. When he did, he got better. I mean, you can apply that to anything.
True. Very, very, very true. That's all I have to say with the camera changes.
Very, very true. Very true. Very true. I listened to a podcast not long ago with Joe Rogan, Luke Combs, and Joe would be saying stuff, and Luke Combs would be like, "Man, that's some shit, man. Oh, that's crazy." You know, so
you know what? This is real. This is real life. We're ad-libbing today, just talking.
Yeah, no, but it's important. Right?
It is.
It's important. So, yeah, I would say the takeaway for me that I would say in this conversation could be applied, especially now in this hectic holiday season, because we're just a few weeks away from Christmas, and everybody's just trying to get all that list checked off,
trying to make it magical.
All the things, family.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's
Got to be here, got to be there. Trying to make everybody happy, and
how many people do you run into in any given year during the holiday season where they're just like bursting with this excitement of positivity?
Children who have no responsibilities.
That's right. Children.
And that is
my
what
mother,
it's really all about. Oh, yes.
And like a few other friends of ours, but by and large, people are strung out, stressed out. And it's like, hey, maybe there's something to this. So my takeaway would be, we have a choice over what we will focus our minds on and the conversations that we have mentally. And it's not hard, but it is difficult, if that makes sense. It's not hard to do because we have choice. It's as simple as a choice. The difficulty comes in creating the habit and the discipline. And that just means, intention. So, so for me, and I'm by no means.
Tell us, Guru
No, I mean,
Scott.
I'm by no means always successful at
You
this.
always have great advice, though.
But I have found for me the best times that I can, if you will, program my mind or have a self-check are right before I go to sleep. And I'll talk about that one in a minute. And then early morning, like when it's quiet and I have some time to myself. I never really understood the significance of that 4 or 5 minutes or 10 minutes when you lay in bed and you turn the light off before you drift off to sleep. So I know some people, they're like, 10 minutes? Who the hell can fall asleep in 10 minutes? Some people, it takes them a lot longer. I get it. But what you lay there and think about for however long before you fall asleep is exactly what your mind's going to marinate on. And you do that long enough, it becomes a belief. That stuff's going to happen in your life, those negative conversations. So why not take that opportunity when you lay down for those 5-10 minutes or an hour and think about how you want your life to be, what experiences you want to experience, what conversations you want to have. I'll give you an example. Say you're struggling with your boss at work. We all have. And, you don't like this person or you don't get along with this person for whatever reason. And maybe they're treating you unfairly and it feels pressure. So many of us have been through that. So you come home and you marinate on this and you think about it. And you think, how shitty tomorrow's going to be and how it's just not going to go well. Well, guess what? All you're doing is perpetuating it. It doesn't seem like that. You're like, you can't connect the two, but that's just the way it is. So why not take the opportunity when you lay down at night to think, okay, well, the situation isn't this way right now, but I'm just going to play out like I'm writing a scene or a play of how I want it to go.
Yeah, and you'll emit a different energy, which will affect the people around you, which will affect your day.
Leadership professionals, a lot of people in human resources, and even the folks that have Tony Robbins talked about this. People who like the founders of Indeed and some of these other job seekers, they talk about there's all this training on what do you do when you go in for an interview, and you find anybody that's worth their salt, and they'll tell you from experience, imagine and visualize that interview going exactly the way you want it, and over until you can actually feel and believe it. I've done it, and it's worked, and I'm not done it.
That probably releases some of the nerves you would have, which in turn would affect the interview for sure.
Yeah, right. All these intricacies that you can't even put together. So same thing applies when you go to sleep. Take that opportunity. And then the next thing, and in the morning, when you're up, you're getting ready to start your day, we all wake up with something on our mind. Too many of us wake up and grab our phone first thing in the morning, and we're flipping to an email, or we're flipping to the news, or we're flipping to this, and we're taking this input. I'm willing to bet over 90% of it is going to have some negative connotation. 100% of it's the news.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So why not take that opportunity for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and don't get up and pick up your phone, or don't get up and start thinking about what you were thinking about yesterday or whatever. Get up, get your mind quiet, and that takes some discipline, and think about, what is it that I want to happen today? How would I like my day? If I could just script it, how would I like for my day to go? At least on the big buckets. You do that, it becomes a habit, and I promise you, you'll start feeling a little bit like you'll get excited about getting up and thinking that, because you're going to see that creating that behavior, or that discipline, you'll start seeing things change in your life. And when you put those two together, like, oh crap, I do have some control over this, and then it becomes almost like a game. It's kind of fun, Yeah. You start creating mental conversations that end up actually happening just the way you wanted, and that's pretty cool. Yeah. So
you have your little journal of proof.
I do.
Over those experiences. Yeah, I'm a little different. I mean, it's funny when I hear you talk with this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is his personality and how he does it. You're the one that when we get ready to go on a vacation, make your little list of everything to take, and you're like, did you make your list? I'm like, nope, it's right here. I have a routine that I walk through the house, and I know that I get everything, and it works. One time it didn't. I forgot to pack my makeup when we went to Chicago, but other than
all of it.
Well, the whole makeup bag, but that's the only event where I forgot something.
Trip to Ulta or whatever, Sephora or wherever it was.
But coming back, my point is, my advice would be present, be in the moment, let some of that pressure go around the holidays of having to show up or give a certain gift. Give what you can give, and I think we put a lot of expectations on ourselves that others don't have on us, and put all this pressure.
Yeah, and you might want to just comment on this real quick, because I think from what I've experienced over the course of my life is pretty true, is like, it seems like the women have so much more on their plate during the holiday season than the men do. That's a little stereotypical. I get it. It's not tried and true, but
and what it really
a lot of times we're just kind of sitting in the back.
Well, we're the shoppers, so typically.
Yeah.
So like we feel responsible for getting all these gifts when really it should be more about spending time with your loved ones and your family. So I think sometimes that gets lost. The whole point gets lost in all the gift giving and worrying that, does this look like I'm giving more to this one or that one? I know my mom always worried about that, the presents not looking equal.
Oh my God.
Because I had the youngest brother, you know who you are, would count the presents.
Right.
Because in his mind, that was the value, was the number.
Same here.
But as we both know, as kids get older, their toys get more expensive. So quantity-wise, they're going to have less. But just bringing that to try to push that negative and that stress away, try to be present, bring it back to what it's really about, and let some of that pressure go that's on your shoulders of trying to make everything perfect. I
think you're spot on. I would just press you for one thing here. Okay. It's like, so, and it goes back to what I was saying about, you hear these colloquialisms. I don't know if that's the right word. So I'll have to look that one up
later.
What is colloquial. Whenever you hear these little sayings,
I'm going to look that one up.
that just end up being memes or sayings about, and I'm not saying what you're saying is a meme, but like what could be one thing for that person who every year is faced with the same, like Groundhog Day. Oh crap! Here we gotta go again. I gotta get on it early. Gotta get these presents. I gotta do this. I gotta da 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 da. And you want to break that cycle, but you don't know how. Like, do you have an idea? Like
Gratitude.
One place
We were just saying, focus on the. Be grateful that you have your parents to still go to. We have 3 places to go today, but on the other hand, they're still here to spend the holiday with and go visit.
Mm-hmm.
Like. Try to pull out the positive in everything, even when it's stressful.
Yeah.
Not like I always do that, but I have to remind myself to do that. And when I do, everything changes.
Yeah. Yeah. When you focus
just
on
like, we've talked about going through our divorces. In the beginning, I was so focused on this was done to me, all the negative. What am I going to do this and that? And as I worked through it and started looking at at all the little positive points, there were sounds weird to say, but there were positive moments within that. That's when it flipped. And even though something bad had happened, it came out so positive on the other end. And when I get drugged back in, which we both know, even to this day, there are certain triggers that drag me back in, and I start thinking about the negative side of all of it, the negative things that occurred during that.
And having those mental conversations.
And having those negative mental conversations. And I feel my body, my blood pressure, all that responds. And so I have to think back, hold on, where are you now? I'm where I want to be now. So why am I getting stressed out about the past and the way it went down? I've got to look at it that it was a blessing that it happened in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're right. It's just a mindset, and it's going to be a constant battle, because I think us as humans, we tend to focus on negative stuff, and you just have to keep reeling it back in. But I think, like you said, the more you do it and it becomes a discipline, the easier it becomes to bring yourself back to that center and that place of gratitude.
Yep. I think it all begins with making a choice, and that choice is choosing yourself first. And by that, I mean taking that time to just have, it doesn't matter what anybody else wants. Like, take the time to start creating the habit of having the different conversations, even if it seems stupid, ludicrous, like it's not going to happen. Trust it. And when I would challenge anybody, and I try to get this concept over to people all the time, is like, kind of assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, like see what you want, and try to believe that. Keep a journal, even if it sounds stupid. Keep a journal, and then you'll see how these things will happen.
Because it reinforces that those positive thoughts turned into reality, and it kind of keeps you going in that right direction.
And then specific for the holiday season, I would say, don't do anything that doesn't make you happy or feel good. We're all chasing something for somebody else, and I get it. This is the season for giving and blah, blah, blah. But give to yourself first, because it's just like, I almost hate this analogy because it's overused, but the analogy of the airplane when the mask drop, you put the mask first on yourself. And same thing. If there's one thing, just say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do anything this Christmas season that I don't feel good about or doesn't bring me some sort of positive energy. So will some people get upset or pissed off or maybe whatever? Maybe. So, big deal.
Yeah, we do forget to take care of ourselves in all this.
Yep. Yeah. So, with a few weeks left for Christmas, we're going to actually try to put into practice what we just talked about. But
can we go home and take a nap first?
No, right. Yeah.
And I don't want to talk to you for the rest of the week. Talked to enough people last week.
That's fine. I'll have my own mental conversation. I don't need you. I got a bunch of people in here. So
I love you.
All right. Merry Christmas. I love you too.
Ho, ho, ho.